Good evening, everybody. This is the Voice Spotlight. I'm your host, Anthony Spencer, and with us is someone I've been wanting to get on the channel for such a long time. But it came at an opportune time since this is Mental Health Awareness Month, and this is following up with the mini series on the ministries at Victorious Living Faith. So, introducing to some, giving others the chance to hear again. This is Reverend Chiara Noble. How are you tonight, Key?
I'm doing pretty good. How about yourself?
Not bad, not bad. So, I've been wanting to get you here for a while, and I appreciate you because you're a wife, you're a mother, you're a health advocate, you're a minister at the church. You wear a lot of hats. So I appreciate you taking this time out to come out and spend this time with us, especially during this month.
Of course, it's my pleasure.
Right. So we're gonna get right into it. It's no use in not or doing a little, you know, pre-word preface into it. We're gonna get right into it. So um I've watched you as you've approached this mental health um discipline, I should say. And everything starts with a seed, everything starts with a story. So where did your interests come in as far as mental health?
So, what got me on this road was, and I guess I'll, give a little bit of a background, and then talk more about myself. But one of my children, my middle child, was having some difficulties at school. And it just got to the point of it got beyond like behavioral, just kid stuff where they, get into tussles or, things like that. And so it took for the school nurse at the time to pulled me to the side, because she used to see me come to the school a lot. And I remember this one particular day, and I think I've shared this story maybe with one or two other people. But she saw me coming, and I tell people all the time I don't have much of a poker face. And so I must have looked like really, really distraught. And I was, I was exhausted. I mean, the phone calls and the having to come up to school and pick up and just all the things and just not really knowing what was happening or which way to turn. And so she pulled me to the side and she said, "Hey, Miss Noble," she said, "can you step into my office for a minute?" So I went into the nurse's office and she asked me if I had ever thought about having him talk to someone. And I said, "What do you mean?" And she said, like, a therapist or a counselor or something. And she shared with me her personal story. She had a child who had a similar path. And so she kind of started recognizing some things just in seeing me coming in. Fast forward to got connected, at that point, it was maybe around second grade. And so that kind of really just got me on this path. And then I wound up with some mental health challenges myself on the road of like anxiety and depression. So yeah, it just what started out as, something for my child wound up spiraling into my own story. Now baby girl has a touch of, anxiety, so she has her thing. And I don't want to jump too far ahead because this may be one of your other questions, but um pre-COVID, or while I should say post-COVID, people who didn't have mental health challenges, definitely some folks have some stuff now. Um, and so, it kind of it's an everyday thing. And I walk it, I talk it, I live it, I breathe it, just it's surrounding me. So it's one of those things that I would say it got what kind of did get dropped in my lap. Um, but the evolution, that led me from starting point, that was wow, over 10 years ago now.
Okay, okay.
So it's been a long journey.
And you brought up a point with me. I've worked for I retired in 2012. But I tell this story a lot that I've been on situations that were a little bit dangerous, or we were in certain areas doing certain things that um but it didn't bother me, I guess, or I was careful, I was aware, but it was
Mhm.
during COVID, and knowing that you could walk down the aisle and somebody could cough and you walk through this sneeze cloud or cough cloud, and 2 weeks later you were gone. So that's when I found out what anxiety was. And thank God for Panetta and Pastor Phil, because I knew I was uncustomary, acting uncustomary to myself. I wasn't acting the way I was and the way I thought I was living my life. I really got pressured behind it. Even earlier on, I had a health scare with prostate cancer. It didn't prove to be anything, but I this COVID really scared me. So I understand the um the anxiety behind it. Okay.
Oh yeah.
So mental health comes in a lot of flavors, disciplines, or such. Is there any particular form of mental health that interests you more than others?
No, not necessarily. So I went through a GHU, which is Greenhart University, to become a certified mental health advocate and coach. And so we learned a little bit there about, different diagnoses and disorders and those types of things. But of course, I'm not a therapist or, any type of licensed clinician. And so my role is to mainly educate, advocate for those who, like, my son and myself, I really had to fight for a lot. And again, I don't really know, how much we'll touch on that, but even to try to get, certain services that, I felt like he would benefit from. Um, just having to fight the school on, because I was told, not necessarily by the school, but I was told by someone that they are allotted a certain amount of like resources and the 504, the IEP plans that they put the children on per year. And so they're supposed to fight them. They're supposed to challenge them. They're supposed to try to, talk the parents out of doing it and all the reasons why you shouldn't and blah, 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 because it costs money, and at the end of the day, a lot of these things are it's money is the deciding factor. And it's so unfortunate because it does a disservice to people who need these things, and you really shouldn't have to fight for your mental health or any health for that matter.
Right.
Uh,
Right.
yeah.
You brought up mental health advocate, which you are. So, besides the schooling and the years that some mental health professionals put into it, um, is it better to ask you what is the difference between a mental health counselor and an advocate, or is it better to just tell us what an advocate is?
Probably just to tell what an advocate is and does. And I notice you do have some people who will join forces, who will join a cause just because it's a good cause and it's the right thing to do and they want to be involved. But I find that in the mental health world, it seems that a lot of the advocates are people with lived experience. And so, whether you are caregiving for someone with a mental health concern, or you have one yourself, or it could be both, like in my case, um, we really the lived experience is really what does it, right? Because I mean, you and with any profession, you go to school, you get your education, and then it's that on the job work where the work really, comes in. And so my role is to it's more of like educating folks as far as what something might look like, not diagnosing, but just, if you're having more bad days than good days, you might want to kind of just encouraging them to talk to someone, explaining to them what something might look like, because someone might think that it's normal to um, stay in the bed in the dark, not eat, not shower. They may think that that's kind of okay. Like, I just don't feel good, and it's okay. But when it becomes a regular thing, when it becomes an ordinary thing, then it perhaps it may be something else going on. And so, trying to give a voice to the voiceless. The whole cliche of it being stigmatized is really not. It's not a cliche. It's actual and it's factual. And the whole mentality of what happens in this house stays in this house, type thing. So people are so conditioned to not talking, holding stuff in, not talking about things, worrying about what someone might say or think of them. So they just kind of hold it all in, and then until they can't, anymore. And then it just comes out in a negative way. So just trying to promote mental health and wellness, provide resources. So I'm the person that someone could come to and say, hey, I've been having a really rough time for a little while. I'm thinking about talking to someone, but I don't know where to start. Okay, cool. Let me sit you down. Let me ask you some questions, and I'll help you get connected to the therapist.
Mhm.
And so there's a plethora of other things that we do, but that's kind of the meat and potatoes of what a mental health advocate does.
Right. And touched on something in your explanation. I'm a child of the 60s. So a man was supposed to be a certain way. And there were things that happened in the house that they tried not to let it hit the neighborhood and such. But there were things that you kept it either in the house or in the family. So a lot of things, looking back now coming up through the years and then seeing the attention on things, you look back and says, there were people that could have got some help if they knew where to turn or talk to somebody. And now it's more um it's easier to get the help now. But even in I'm listening to what you're saying, that even though the mental health awareness and it's still it's more available now, but it is still an issue trying to get mental aid, assistance, support. Is that true?
Oh yes, absolutely. I'm finding that in the years that I've been doing this work, and myself, for example, when I was in the position that I was in, it seems so long ago. Like, it really seems like in this day and age we should be way further into it than we like mental health. I mean, you might see the commercials here and there, you might hear people talk about it here and there, but and we really have come a long way, but not far enough, and so because I had no idea, like, I knew that mental health was a thing, but I feel like a lot of us, especially, those over maybe the age of 30 plus, um when you thought of people with mental health, you thought of people who were either, slow, just more developmentally delayed, autism, stuff like that. um but now, realizing that there are so many, oh my gosh, I couldn't even name them. There are so many different things that are mental health related, that we might not even, realize are. um, and so I just think that um, the more that we have these conversations, the more that we talk about them, the more that we recognize that mental health is a thing, and not, even outside of the month of May. Right, because we have our awareness months, we have awareness weeks, we have awareness days. And those are specifically intended to bring and promote awareness to these things. But we need to be having these conversations every day,
Right.
because every day people are suffering in silence. And, they're just, and don't get me started on the healthcare part of things, because there are people walking around unmedicated right now that need to have medication, but they don't have any health insurance, so they can't pay for it.
Yeah,
And it's just so unfortunate.
it is that everything is based on a dollar. It really is unfortunate, I guess, that we live in a day and time where, a lot of decisions are made on costs, budget, different things like that. Um, and I see a lot of it, not just on the, I'm a guy that looks at a lot of movies. We look at a lot of movies in this household. Um, and I'll get back to one that we just looked at particularly, but I do know that there are some people that need that, and you were going back, and of course, like I said, I go back in the day when you saw that person and was like, they're just a little nuts, a little crazy, and you just push them off to the side, but you never deal with them in the way that they need to be dealt with, or dealt with. Um, so I'm going to say it's a broad question. Um, and you may or may not have an answer to it. I don't know if there is an answer to it, but um, there seems to be a shift in what we class as good mental health. Um, you always say that it's okay to not to be okay, but it seems like there's a shift in things in the way that people are, the way that acting, rudeness seems to be more of a thing than ever. But do you personally have any feelings that this day and time that there's a shift in what we class as good mental health?
Can you elaborate a little bit
Right.
on?
So, and this one bothers me quite a bit. Um, Bullying, cyber or otherwise, that it seems like a child that is perfectly normal. They're, not some in their teens, some not in their teens, that some part of their brain tells them that it is more advantageous to commit suicide than to work through this or talk to somebody. Um, the person that attacks people for no reason at all. Panetta just brought to my attention another thing that's getting bothersome is attacks within the church. Something happened in Pennsylvania where a guy pulled and tried to kill a pastor in the church yesterday, I think. Thank God the gun jammed. Man, thank God the gun jammed. But there seems to be more people that are suicidal, homicidal, just not well. So
Mhm.
now, is that a shift that I'm seeing, or is that something that ever crossed your mind that people are showing cracks in their mental state?
No, I don't think it's just you at all. I think that these situations and scenarios have been happening for, quite a long time. But, in this day and age of social media and of everybody tends to, whip their phones out when something looks like it's going to happen. And so a lot of these things are being caught on camera, or people are being in environments where it's already being recorded, right? Like, for example, our church, we live stream. And so if something happens in real time, people are going to see it in real time. Now we could go back and, edit and revise after the fact, but those who are in the audience, those who are watching in that moment, they're going to catch it. Um, and so I definitely believe that, there is probably an increase of people who, are now having mental health concerns. Some, it might have been a thing all along, and they just maybe didn't realize it. Some people have, which I think may be my case with the anxiety, right? When I was younger, I used to sing on the choir at church, 12 years old, do solos, do it all, talk in front of people, no problem. somewhere along the line, something shifted and I became anxious all the time. Like the thought of standing in front of people, even a small group of people. I used to be at work. This was some years ago, and I still get nervous doing it, but it's just a little bit well managed now. But I used to be at work, and when we used to have to do the activities where you go around the room and just, it could be something simple. They would be like, everybody just stand up, say your name, what property you work at, how long you've been with the company. I'm like, about to throw up. Like I am so sick. I'm shaking on the inside. I'm like watching them go around the room like, please just hurry up and get to me, like so I can get this over. Like so somewhere along the line, and then the public speaking became an issue for me, to the point where the first time I had to get up and I did a prayer. Um when I was at St. Stephen's, and I was so ill, like I thought that I was going to pass out. Like I was having all the feelings. And now, I tell people it's better. I still get nervous, always get nervous. But it's a little better because I have been in therapy. I have kind of talked through some things and figured out different coping mechanisms. And that's kind of going back to your question about, the therapist. They can provide I know, at least in my personal position, they can provide an unbiased advice where you could go to your friend, your sister, your mother, whatever, but sometimes people closest to you are not going to be able to give you what you need, right? Because they're going to talk to you based off of emotions or the way that they feel. Therapists also are good for providing that safe space where you don't have to worry about, it's completely confidential. So we know for ourselves, you might think that the conversation may not go any further, than the two of you. But then the next thing you know, somebody knows your business because they let something slip on purpose or by accident.
Yep, yep,
And I know I kind of, got off the subject a little bit, but it just reminded me in your asking that question, some positive things, that I have gotten through therapy and coping mechanisms, because I used to have real bad panic attacks. And even and I used to rely on my husband to get me out of them. Like he was with me when I started to have them.
right,
And so we would do this breathing thing where he would wrap his arms around me and he would breathe with me and it would help me come out of it. But then fast forward to realizing, like, okay, what happens if I can't get to him? Like, this is going to be bad.
right,
His phone might die. He might be in a meeting. He can't answer the phone, and I'm really going to be in bad shape. And so, the therapist was able to teach me some things that I can do if I'm by myself, to kind of, get out of that. And so, yes, people are really, they're walking around, they're hurting, and I had this conversation with somebody recently about, I'm not okaying bullying. I'm not okaying with being mean to people, or saying mean or hurtful things, but they all come from a place of hurt, of brokenness. That whole saying of hurt people, another
right,
cliche saying, it's the truth. People go through their different experiences, and so that becomes their defense mechanism. So when they come to another person, you cross them the wrong way, you do something to them, they're trying to figure out a way to hurt you back. And you might not even be the person that hurt them from the beginning.
right.
So yeah, it's always, I think, been a thing, but it's just more because I caught that video earlier today. And gone are the days when we have, I don't want to say gone are the days where we don't have safe places, but there used to be a time where the elderly was off limits, women were off limits,
Exactly.
schools were safe, churches were safe. And nowadays it's just like, once they, the whole the movie theater thing happened, then the school shootings begin to happen, then the church, the concerts, it's just it's really everywhere now, and it's unfortunate, but prayerfully, things will get better. We keep praying, we be as careful as we can, and we advocate and we talk about these things and we have these hard conversations so that the people who are out there feeling like they have nowhere to turn, feeling like ending their life is the only option to make the pain go away, can second, second guess that and say, hey, someone is out there that can help me. Someone is out there that cares and will listen.
Okay. You've touched on a lot of things and things
I
that
know I did. I covered a
no, no,
lot.
no,
That
no,
was
but
that was
it
super
was.
long-winded.
No, no, but it covered it, like you said, in talking, it covered some things that I felt that I've talked to whether it's Pastor Philip Panetta or others about. So it touched on all of that. Even down to like I was a manager when I was working. I didn't like to do my reports, but I had to do my reports. Um, I I I don't like public speaking. But I found out I have a aptitude to teach. I teach CPR, AED, and first aid now. So I found out that I can do that easily. More of it's like a question and answer session. But you touched on a lot of things, especially when it comes to those that bully. And I there I really truly believe that they're coming from a place of hurt too. Um, Not exactly the crab in the barrel mentality where you got to put somebody down to step up, but yeah, I was thinking those things too. So, um, you talked a lot of things, but you answered a couple questions, so you kind of got out of it. Okay, so you had some events this past weekend related to um mental health, and I guess it would also touch on the questions outside of what we're about to do at VLF. What organizations are you working with, working for, or what resources are available? What resources do you work with that now will become available to someone that is looking at this?
Yes, I'm so glad that you asked me that question. Because the Greenhart University is the founder. Her name is Colleen Diana. Um, it's been around for some years now, and her goal is to teach and empower those who come through the university to become certified mental health advocates, but then in turn to be able to have other people come through. So it's something that is available to everyone. She holds courses throughout the year. I want to say maybe it might be like once or twice a year, but she also has like a train the trainer program. So those who come through can become a trainer and then they can teach their own classes as well. So there's that. And Greenheart is near and dear to my heart. It has been everything. Learning how to help other people is just, I mean, we talk about it all the time when we talk about our homeless community or less fortunate community that we're able to serve and help. It is nothing more fulfilling for me than to be able to give back, than to be able to help people, especially living through these things, and kind of knowing how it feels, to be out there and experiencing these things and really kind of don't know where to turn to for
Mhm.
help. So that's one thing that I am involved in. Um, and yes, we had our annual, it's a weekend event. So it starts out on Friday night with lighting the city green. So she gets permission each year to light up City Hall in the color of green, because green is the nationally recognized color for mental health. And so we go down to City Hall. Yes, we go down to City Hall, and we, fellowship there. We laugh, we talk, we cry, we pour into each other. So it's a real, intimate event, and it's just so amazing just to look up because you can see that dome for like miles and miles. When we were leaving, traveling home, and look back, like you can see it from so far away. And people being able to verbalize things are one thing, but to visualize is something else, right? So, I mean, we had people that were walking through that stopped to talk to us, people that are driving through that pull over. You see these people out here and you see this green thing lit up and you're like, oh, hey, what's going on? What's this all about,
Best
right? And
believe
so that's
somebody
how you
Googled it,
get,
you know?
yeah, yeah, that's really how you kind of get information out there. That's why I really love she came out with the new shirt that I had on, the other day, and I posted it to my Facebook. And I really love that shirt because people might not, if they don't know you or know who you are or what you represent, they're not going to know, right? So if I have this t-shirt on and I'm saying, hi, I am a certified mental health advocate, you can talk to me, that is opening up the door for a conversation, for people to ask me anything. You can stop me anywhere you see me wearing that. And so the initiative is powerful, it's great, I love it. And then piggybacking off of that, I'm also affiliated with NAMI, which is the National Alliance for Mental Illness. They are worldwide, nationwide at least. And so I do some volunteering with them as well. It's just kind of, and the crazy part about it, not crazy part about it is I I think that when you're gifted with something or when God places something um in your path for you to do, it's kind of like it's all things for me. Like I work for Shepherd Pratt, which is it's one of the largest hospitals, in the US. One of them. And although I don't work on the mental health side of it, I'm still touching it. Because working for veteran services, and a lot of the veterans have mental health concerns. So I'm touching it there. I'm touching it in ministry. I'm touching it in my own personal life. So that's why when I say I really live and breathe this thing, I do. I'm surrounded by it. And it's had its challenges living through the things, but I know that, God places us in these positions for a reason. And so I just really wouldn't have it any other way.
Good. So, in a way, and I started off by being this is uh one of in the series of the ministries of Victorious Living Faith is now we're coming into a mental health um ministry of which you're going to lead. So, how did that come about? We are now, and that's to say that in all that we've talked about now, I don't think we could have jumped into the ministry without going through everything that we talked about now. So now that we have a broad sense of things, now we can circle back around to the ministry. So how did the ministry come about?
That's funny that you say that because it definitely, telling the backstory is important. Um, I believe it was meant for the ministry to be from, the very beginning. Um, However, timing is everything. And it came about because I went through okay, so Greenhart, I'm sorry, because that's just going to piggyback just a little bit. Greenhart
Okay.
also, besides the advocacy piece, it's also a coaching program. So she teaches us how to start our own businesses so that, folks who would like to monetize it can do that as well. And so the goal coming out of the coaching part of it is to be able to start your own business. She really equips the people who go through with everything that they need. I mean, from teaching how to do flyers, postcards, getting your LLC, or, if that's what you want to do, licensing, phone numbers, websites. I mean, you name it, like we learned it all. But when I came out of it, I was like, okay, I have all this information. I do at some point want to start a business, but it kept getting delayed. I kept saying, okay, I'm gonna sit down, I'm gonna put this together. Because part of our project to graduate was to develop a signature program. And so I did it, but I didn't do anything with it. And now looking back in hindsight, it's because, yes, the money and the business would be great to be able to monetize my passion and doing something that I just am naturally good at and I love so much. But I kept hearing ministry first, ministry first, ministry first. And so as I was watching the other people, get their businesses out there and up and running, and I'm sitting here like, dang, I really like want to do this, but I have to start with ministry, because I mean it's my whole world, it's my everything. And so that is how it came to be. I said, okay, Lord, what is it that that you want me to do with this? Clearly it's my calling. It's what I'm supposed to be doing. Now, what am I supposed to do with it? And for those who know me, know I can be a little bit hard-headed, I could be a little bit stubborn, I could be when Pastor Phil preaches and talks all the time about the people who need all the things like from A to Z, I'd be like, no, why do you keep telling people my business? Why do you keep putting me out there like that? But it's because I look at God and I'm like, okay, I need more. Like, tell me more. Like, don't just give me the vision and say, okay, I want you to start this ministry. Like, I need to know what to do. But he never operates that way with me. And anything that he gives me the vision, but he gives it to me in bits and pieces, right? And that is his way of reminding me that I need to trust in him. I shared with someone when we were at City Hall, when I was pouring into them, I said, I encourage you to just walk in it. And it's funny that we can know the things for ourselves, but we don't really incorporate them a lot.
Right.
And so I'm just walking in it. And so I don't have all of it figured out. I have the um the meat and potatoes of what it's going to look like. I have the mission, I have the scripture, and I'm just going to walk in it. So I'm just going to allow him to direct my path, lead me to what it is that I'm supposed to be doing. But that's kind of how it came to be. And I used to say it was a long time coming, but I was told don't say that because his timing is perfect. And even
Yeah.
though I drug my feet a little bit on it, it's okay.
Okay. So, May the 19th would have been our Health Awareness Sunday. We had to make a shift in that. And we're still looking forward to it because you'll be preaching the word. But from where you are and once we are with this ministry, do you have any plans as such, or is this something that will um, grow and we'll see something as it comes to fruition?
So yes, so it's actually so on May the 16th is going to be the ministry meet and greet. That's going to be at 6 p.m. That is open to everyone to just come out and hear more about the ministry and the plans, the mission, the vision. The name of the ministry is Tranquil Transformation.
And I wanted to get with that because I did see that earlier, but so it is, say it again.
It is Tranquil Transformation.
Okay.
Um, and the word tranquil means free from disturbance and calm. And we all know what it means, to be transformed. And so trying to get out of that space of being all over the place and feeling like, you're out there on a limb by yourself and you're the only one and nobody will understand, to coming to a place of tranquility, a place of calm, a place of peace. And so that's kind of where the name came from. And so we're going to have our meet and greet on the 16th at 6. And then I will be presenting at women's ministry that same night at 7 p.m. And that's just going to be, for the women. And then it was going to be that Sunday, yes, the 19th, but now we got a date change. So I'll be preaching on the 26th at 9. But God does everything in decency and in order. And
That
I when things happen and get shifted, I no longer like really question or be like, well, dag, whatever. It was kind of cool having it fall in the week, boom, boom, boom in the same week. But I'm realizing now that the fourth Sunday is Youth Sunday. And so the word will be catered around the youth as well. And so apparently that's the way that it was supposed to be.
Right, right.
So yeah.
Well, oddly enough, we've come to the questions that I had for you. Um, and if people know us from the church, they know we're being very cordial with each other. You're my little sister. I love you. Our Sundays really don't start until we hug each other. So, um,
Absolutely.
we have our own coping mechanisms to get us through Sundays. So again, my dear, I really appreciate you coming on to take time out of your busy schedule, but for a very important um, subject matter that we don't often see addressed. When you told me about the organization NOMI, is that it?
NAMI.
NAMI, and
Yep.
I've been all around the United States and done a lot of things while I was working, but that was something I didn't know about. But again, um, mental health awareness. And now we're like you say, just like we say, Black History is every month, not just one month. Mental health awareness is every month as well, because it just doesn't start at the 1st of May and ends at the last of May. We're dealing with these
Mhm.
problems all the time, and you've made it your personal goal to address it. And by bringing it into VLF, um, it's going to be a church thing. VLF is known for giving back. We've gave back in the city. Now we're back out near to the church. Um, but I know who you are, and I know who we are as a church. So I'm hoping that we can help some people. So, yeah.
Absolutely. And
So anything in closing, dear?
Um, I just thank you again, for the opportunity, because I'm hoping that, in hearing some of the things, sometimes sharing our personal experiences kind of help people to not only get a better understanding of us and our past and our journey, but it opens up the lines of communication to have these conversations which are so important because like I said, people are literally out here suffering, day by day and thinking that they have to go it alone or they don't have anywhere to turn. And so I just really appreciate the opportunity, the platform, and I'm looking forward to big things. It's this is only the beginning. This is the kickoff for the ministry. I envision a support group coming out of it. That is one of the goals, things on the agenda, and we'll see what else, how it unfolds is the way that God's going to have it to be. So I'm excited and I'm looking forward to seeing it grow. I'm looking forward to helping people heal.
Okay. Well, um, and I'm sure many others are looking forward to the ministry coming about and growing from there, uh, as well as your word that you'll bring us later on this month. So we'll say good night for now. We hope that somebody looking at this, it can put them on the right path if that's where they need to be, or that they are able to offer up options to people that need people like you and the organizations that you're working with and for.
Absolutely. Thanks
All
so
right.
much.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night, everyone. Hey, hey, it's Reverend Key, your favorite certified mental health coach and advocate. Did you know that mental illness affects more than 50 million Americans each year, with a large number of those people being left untreated? That is one of the many reasons why I volunteer with NAMI, the National Alliance for Mental Illness. I'm a proud graduate of the Greenhart University and affiliate of the Greenhart community, and I work for a psychiatric rehabilitation program. For me, this is personal. If you or someone that you know is either living with or caring for someone with a mental health illness or concern, or you simply have questions, don't know where to reach out for resources, or need someone to listen, please feel free to reach out to me anytime. And always remember, mental health is health. Please be kind to one another and love yourself enough to seek help. I love you, but God loves you best. God bless and take care.
So that was Reverend Chiara Noble um, talking about the new uh, health ministry that is starting at Victorious Living Faith, Tranquil Transformations. I really like that title. We'd like to thank her again for taking time out of her busy schedule. Like I said, she works full time. She's a mother, she's a wife, and a minister. So she wears a lot of hats and she's extremely busy. So again, as she said that there will be a kickoff for this new ministry on May the 16th at 6 p.m. And later that evening, the women will be meeting at 7 p.m. With, again, a focus on mental health awareness. Um, it is the theme, like we said, that February is, every day is Black History Month, but um, even given a month, it is 31 days does not encompass the problems that we have now and the problems that exist in the world. So we're blessed to have people like Reverend Key and organizations that she worked with to stand in the gap. Uh, After this, there will be some information on some things. Should you need clarification on some things that are either on your mind or to help some people that may need it in the stead. So, again, this is Anthony Spencer for the Voice Spotlight. We thank you for attending. Be blessed and see you on Sunday.